everybody, and welcome to the Youth Indepth show. This is where we talk about real things, we talk about real life, and where we call a spade and not a big spoon. Of course, I'm your host, Monyo Timothy, but of course, you can call me Tim. Right here, we have an amazing, a wonderful panel. And straight to the point, they're going to introduce themselves, and I will start on my immediate left.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Youth Forum, OFC Church. My name is Tekla. Nice to meet you. I hope this forum will be interactive and very beneficial. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is David. Happy to be here. Nimesema happy. Happy to be here. My name is David. Happy to be here. And I'm hoping this talk will be of importance and also carries weight on the topic that you're going to discuss. So stay tuned.
All right. And to you, unaitwa nani?
Asante Timo. My name is Victoriana Alwanga, and I'm excited to be here this afternoon for this session. I'm looking forward to having a forum where we'll be open and very candid about issues that affect this generation. Yeah.
And speaking of issues that affect this generation, the topic today is quite interesting. It is something that maybe you might find some people ignoring or not talking about it, but we are here to talk about it, to discuss it so that we can get somewhat of an answer or somewhat of a direction. And the topic is the Gen Z and the church. Panelists, what do you understand by that? The Gen Z and the church.
Personally, I believe Gen Z is apparently the most mobile group of individuals today. So their connection with the church, it should be really, important. It should be focused on. And we should really expound on it, to invite them into the church, because that is the place where they're supposed to glue and groom themselves.
True.
Yes, that's what I understand.
David, the Gen Z and the church, what do you understand by that?
Well, if we think about the past recent events, I think 90% of the events that have happened in this country imebebwa na Gen Z.
True.
And what I think about Gen Z, it's a movement that comes to change things. It's unfortunate that some of the things that may happen, they may end up in death, violence and all. But then if you look at the main issues that Gen Z has come with, it's change.
True.
So if we relate it to the church nowadays, I will be kind of, let me say, I'm looking for the exact word to use. I do not want to say radical about how the churches go these days.
Yeah.
But then if you look at it, ziko stuck na the traditional things. The programmings, the maybe events and how to go about them, they kind of not think about the youth as part of the church,
Right.
So as we continue to discuss, I hope that us shedding light on how youth view the church will help.
True.
Yeah.
Victoriana.
Yes.
Yes, what do you understand, or what are your reservations about the Gen Z and the church?
First, when you hear the term Gen Z, anywhere you go and you just mention Gen Z, everyone pays attention. So clearly it's a generation that is very influential. They have a voice packed with so much energy, and right now everyone is looking at them. They are the focus. And so when it comes down to the church, there's a lot of change happening when it comes to the Gen Zs. And I see several churches adapting to be able to accommodate the changes that these young people are coming with and speaking up about. And it's a beautiful thing to see and to look forward to. So, yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it. The panelists, they have their reservations. And of course, those are not like that is not like the benchmark of all the reservations that we have about the Gen Z and the church. Of course, that is just an opinion that we have. We have an opinion, you have an opinion, and of course, our beautiful audience has an opinion. Makofi to the audience. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Before we proceed, maybe one of the audience, what do you understand when we say Gen Z and the church?
Thank you very much. I really love the topic today, the Gen Zs and the church. And I want to agree with what the panelists are saying. This is a group that has a voice. I think in Kenya most of the time tumekuwa tunaambiwa kazi kwa vijana, pesa kwa wazee. And I think that phrase is going to change very soon kwa sababu the Gen Zs we have taken our position in this nation. And even now, I feel it is now the time we take our position even in church. Because the Gen Zs pengine tumekuwa tukikaa nyuma sana, backbenchers for long in the church. But due to what has been happening and what we have been able to achieve as the Gen Zs even in this nation, if we divert that energy now to the church, I believe the church will grow to a better place. So I think we are discussing the right thing, and I'm so excited about it. And I believe we have a place in the church as the Gen Zs. So thank you so much.
Of course, we have a place in the church as the Gen Z. But before we continue, when you say Gen Z, you see that term, it has two sides. It's like a coin. We have the good side, and we also have the other side. The good side is the way David you have said. It's they get things done. Like we want this, they mobilize themselves, and then they get things done. And then we also have this other side, where when you're walking in the streets, to some point, remember during the mandamano, during the what are they called? The demonstrations. Yeah. I, as a young person, as I was walking, and maybe I've bumped into someone. Someone could say, "Hey, where Gen Z songa huko?" You see, it became more now of an insult. Yes. Yeah. So as we continue now with this discussion, of course, you're going to see those two sides. And now we're going to kick off right now. Of course, this is Faith Today TV, and we are at Overcoming Faith Church opposite Garden City Mall. You can join us every Sunday starting 10 a.m. till the afternoon. And to the first question, what made you start attending church as a young person?
For me, is influence from family and for my own personal growth. Yeah.
All right. Influence from family and personal growth. That is nice. Another one. What made you join church as a young person? Yes. At the back.
I joined church because of a friend.
Oh.
Yeah. I was not good, like into being into that spirit of going to church.
All right.
It was a friend.
It was because of a friend. Very nice. Anybody else? Why did you join church as a young person? Yes, I can see the microphone passing.
Okay, hi. For me, like my family is a family of church, like tumelelewa church. So my parents made me to go to church since I was young. Yeah.
All right. Well, for me personally, I started going to church because it's the typical answer, because I found my parents in church. I started going to church. That was before I learned about, that was before I discovered myself. But before we go to me, you know, as a gentleman, it is wrong to speak about yourself so much. So let us go to Victoriana.
Yes.
Why did you join church as a young person?
Why did I join church as a young person?
Yes.
For me, it was after a lot of reflection, just like some of the people in the audience have said, and even as you have said, I've been raised in a family where my mom goes to church faithfully, and she has raised us in the church. And so for the longest time since childhood, that is the life that I knew.
Right.
And when I had that chance to get out of that lifestyle, I did. And finally, when I got the time to sit down and to reflect, I realized that I wanted for myself to go back to whatever life I had where I was in Christ. Now for myself, knowing for myself who Jesus is, And so I sat down and I desired that fellowship with other people in the church, that sense of community, the family in the church, the worship, the word, and that growth spiritually. That's what I can say.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you first started going to church because people were going to church, and then after some time you rediscovered yourself.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
David, why?
Well, for me, I'm a pastor's kid.
Oh, PK.
I know many people do not know that, but I'm a pastor's kid.
Wow.
So automatically, I grew up going to church with my parents. But then, as talking about this, I'm asking myself some questions. What of that person who hasn't grown in church,
Right.
but then amejipata church?
Of course.
Imefikaje akajileta? So I'm happy to hear some answers that you're giving. For instance, my panelist colleague Victoriana,
Yes.
amesema it's after her reflection and she wanted to know who Christ is by herself.
Right.
Other people say personal growth and all.
Right.
But then there are those who have gone through life. There are those who have gone through pain, trauma, and all. And them coming to this to church, that is, what do they really get?
True.
Yeah. So if you think about that in that aspect and that perspective, you'll get to realize that it's not just one way that you view it, but different ways. So if I might start by answering that question, it most probably 70%, 90%, in fact, most of the people who come to church is not just because they want to. Okay, they ni ile tu ya kawaida, but then they are searching for something greater. So I will say that for me, nilijipata my friend nikikosa kuamka Sunday asubuhi.
Wow.
Sijui kama mlikuwa mnaamshwa vile mnaguzangwa tuko bed, amka.
Yeah.
Tuende kanisa. Asubuhi na mapema mko hapo. Then you'll be looking at people praying and you're like, what are they saying?
Yeah.
Until now, unajielewa.
Yeah.
And when you get to know yourself, you kind of have questions that need answers to. And when you ask, you feel that you're not satisfied with the answers.
True.
Until you experience it yourself. So yeah, that's how I got to find myself in church.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So I'm gonna be completely honest. Like everyone else said, church became part of the schedule for me.
True.
It's part of my week. I have to go to church. I think the way I've perceived the question is, what was my motivation? What made me feel like, yes, I have to go to church, but now what makes me want to go to church? So when I was younger, it was mainly my friends. I'm not gonna lie. I was young. So I was happy to go meet my friends in church, those friends you don't see during the week. I don't know if it's the same for everyone else, but there's categories of friends. There's home friends, school friends, church friends. So I loved my church friends because I don't get to see them anywhere else. I didn't even know where they stayed. But as I grew older, I started gaining that intention for being in church. Like, I have personal needs that cannot be achieved in any other way. That's mostly what got me to church. And that's technically what gets me to come to church till date.
Okay. That's very powerful. For me personally, it was the same. I grew up in a Christian family. I don't know when I started going to church. I just know that I go to church. But as I was approaching my teenage life, that is the point where you start now knowing yourself properly. So it came to a point whereby I started asking myself, why am I going to church? What am I going to do to church? And it became like a battle inside myself. Ilikuwa noma. I started missing church, not because I was a bad person, but because I did not understand why am I going to church. Number one, I realized I was going to church because I had friends there. Not for God, but because of friends. Number 2, because saa zingine najonanga nimevaa vizuri. So so I want people to see how I look, how I've been shaved, how, what's going on with, what's new with Timothy. You see? Yes, thank you, cameraman. Yes, just like that. Good. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that was me. That was me before realizing, why am I going to church? But now, in that battle, in my own mind, I started not going to church. Guys from church are calling me, "Hey, Timothy, where are you? Why are you not in church?" Telling them, I will come next Sunday. Next Sunday I'll be there. Then when now I realized why I'm going to church, it now dawned on me, it's because I need God. Because my whole life, God is the one who has been holding me and taking care of me. Now this leads me to the next question. Now, because we are young, of course you are young, what are the challenges that we have been facing going to church as a young person? Now you have discovered yourself. I am David, I'm going to church because I love God, because I need God. You are there, yes. Now, what are the challenges? Before we go to you, David, let's hear from the audience. Some of the challenges as a young person do you face coming to church?
Thank you. I'm Jennifer. For me, I can say the challenges that I've been facing, maybe from people, from my family, maybe. I don't come from a Christian family. Maybe my father or my mother. I guess the challenges I come through is discouragements from my family, because I guess I'm more in church than the rest of my family. So for me, it's discouragement. Thank you.
All right.
Hi.
Hello.
There are so many challenges that the people of today face when they go to church. One of the challenges is stereotyping and generalization. You find that some people in church, they all generalize the youth and the Gen Z as they are all maybe evil-mannered, or they're not obedient and disciplined. And now if you go to a church where all of you are seen as people who are maybe you are disobedient and something, you feel discouraged to go to church. Thank you.
All right. And I think yes.
Can also say something about some of the discouragement I found in church.
Okay.
Even though I've never left church, but I've just discovered that most of us Christians, we really love to judge. Yeah. And so when you see a fellow Christian judging you, it's more worse. Even afadhali mtu mwenye hajaokoka akikujudge, namwambia wewe hujui kile tunafanyanga huko ndani.
Yeah.
And so most of us pretend we are the holy Joe term, yeah?
Yeah, true.
And so sometimes you feel like you don't want to go to the same church. But when you find someone judging you, it's more worse.
True. And of course, nobody likes to be judged. Yeah. For me personally, some of the challenges that I see that really affects the young people in the church is basically what you've said. There's that stereotyping. You see, the way I've said that the Gen Z, they have two sides. There is now they get things done, and then there's this other side where exactly they're destructive. Now, to the judgment, I've seen it happen so many times that I myself have gotten discouraged. I had this friend. I won't say the name. She was a very good person, a very good, devoted and committed Christian. But we did not know the battles that she was going through at home. So through those battles, I wouldn't say nobody's checking on her, but you don't hear her talking about it so much. So it went like that. She got, let me say, a boyfriend. And then one thing led to another. Then she got a child. You see. the same people who were hugging her in church, the same people who were very excited to see her, they started to shun away from her. I was seeing all this, and I'm a young person, and this is a fellow young person going through this. Hey, I say to myself, guy, not that I'm encouraging sin, because first of all, sex outside of marriage is a sin. That one doesn't have any other way around it. But a righteous man may fall, sindio? But bado atafanya nini? Atasimama. So through that judgment, I really got discouraged. And that is one of the things that when I say the challenges of a young person in church. What about you, David?
This topic is so interesting.
So fire.
Sijasikia mtu akisema kuamka asubuhi ni challenge.
Buda. Where David ulikuja tax ngapi leo?
Personally, I decided for myself that I'll be found in church as earliest as possible. Most of the people find me here. Not just because I want mkuje mnione nimefika mbele yenu, but it started within me. Yeah? It's a decision that I make. I made, that is. You've given good points about discouragement from the family and also from friends.
Of course.
I would like you to think of the church as this, as a big hospital. And in a hospital, you will find different conditions. So this is a place that people come to find healing, right? And the conditions, they might not be infirmities like diseases and all. It might be bitterness, it might be envy, it might be judgment of thoughts, it might be anything that you can think of. So huyu mtu akikanyaga church siku ya kwanza sikumaanisha imeshatoka.
Of course.
So it's a process that needs to take a while. So for this person to come to church and then aone kitu imefanyika, kumbuka the nature is still there until Christ work inside inside out ndio kuja ikuwe clean. Bado kuna ile judgmental phase atakuwa nayo. It'd be like, I thought that this person, I remember when I was in campus. Now.
Yes.
I'm this one guy who does not believe in, see how people perceive things as they should go the way it should, like kuna mpangilio. But maybe I'm not that kind of person. If I see it that it's kind of beneficial to me, I'll take my route on how I see it fit, okay? I must also think about if it's beneficial in terms of the process itanisaidia ama itakuwa inanipeleka kwingine. I'll take the good path, yeah? I remember I used to be part of this dance crew in school. Now, there was a meeting ya CU. I was a leader in CU. And the meetings were taking too long. Nakumbuka mimi niko part of the dance crew fulani hapo shule. So I went half of the time. Then I went there was a video shoot that we were doing as a dance crew. So nili decide meeting nusu, dance crew
nusu.
I remember nilienda nikaingia dance, nikaenda sasa kudance. Sasa meeting iko kind of 4th floor building kama hii, alafu tunadansia pale chini parking. Kulikuwa na basketball pitch. So one of them leaders came and saw me and went and said, "Hey, David, ako chini ana dance. Yo, have you ever been kugongwa na nyahunyo?" Niliitwa. Nikaambiwa, "David, we are having a meeting and yet unaenda kufanya vitu zingine. For this, you are suspended from this and this and until we'll tell you when to come back."
Yeah.
Now, if that is a verdict that I was given, that's the verdict up there. If it's an umbrella, what is under the umbrella now? Think about it. Watu wamefikiria nini, wameongea nini and all. You get?
Yeah.
So, as you think of the church as a youth and as a Gen Z, know that utapata every kind of person. Utapata every kind of condition yenye umepatana nayo huko nje. Ukasema nimeziacha nimekuja church. Know that here, church it's where you get like corporate fellowship and you get to worship God pamoja. But then every person has a life huko nje. So it should be personal, number one, knowing that tumekuja church kupata nini. Number two, corporate worship and all. But pia in mind, jua, this is a place where people come to heal. So the best thing and the best advice I'll give, know what you're coming to do in church, and funga masikio tafadhali.
Okay.
Yes.
Ufunge masikio
Funga
usisikie
masikio.
vibaya.
Juu ukisikiza my friend utauma nje. These things will carry you like away.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Asante, David. Remember, of course, this is the Youth In-Depth show where we call a spade and not a big spoon. We are going to take a very short break. Wewe wachane your remote. Weka remote chini. Thank you. We're going to take a very short break, and then when we come back, of course, we're going to continue with the discussion. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after the break.